Hi there. Today we're going to be looking at negative numbers, and we're just going to start with a recap of the meaning of positive and negative. So typically we write positive numbers like this, and we write negative numbers like this. Now these numbers are positive, so we don't normally write the positive sign. It's implied, okay, but we could write a positive in front of 1, 2 and 3 and it would mean exactly the same. So these are positive numbers, these are negative numbers, and we don't say -1 or -2, we say -1, -2. So let's just put that in a learning bubble. We say -2, for example. Okay, so we say -2, not -2. All right, we can also have 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative. Okay, and numbers can be integers, they can be whole numbers, or they can be decimals and fractions. So we could have a negative number that is -0.5, -0.73, something like that. Okay, so second point I just want to note down is how we use a number line. So we use a number line to help us with negative numbers. Now you can draw your number line horizontally or vertically, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put my 0 in the middle. It doesn't have to be in the middle, but I'm going to show it in the middle for now. And on the right hand side of my 0, my numbers are positive. And on the left hand side of my number line, the numbers are negative. Okay, the further we move to the right, the larger the number becomes. The further we move to the left, the smaller the number becomes. So we're going to put some numbers on there in a moment, but let's just write that down first. Okay, numbers increase as we move to the right, and numbers decrease, they get smaller as we move to the left. Okay, so let's just do a couple of examples. We're just going to show 4, -2, -3 and 1 on the number line. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now a number line does not always have to be drawn to scale, it can just be a rough sketch, but I'm just going to show it quite accurately here. So I've got the number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, the number 1, -2, and -3. Okay, let's just fill in the rest. So for completeness, so we have the number 4, -2, -3 and 1, and that helps us then put those in order. Okay, so we can write in ascending order. That means starting with the smallest number and moving to the larger numbers. So -3, then -2, then 1, and then 4. That's writing in ascending order. And similarly, I could write in descending order. So I'm going to start this time with the largest, the number closest to the right hand side, 4, and then working backwards to 1, to -2, and finally to -3. Okay, let's just talk about inequalities for a moment. So we're going to write inequality. Okay, and we're just going to write a key point here. We can compare numbers. We can compare numbers using inequality signs. Okay, so just a reminder of what those are. We have greater than, we have less than. We can also have greater than or equal to, and similarly we can have less than or equal to. Okay, and just for completeness, we have the equals sign. So if we look at this, what we've done, if we've combined the less than sign and the equal sign to make less than or equal to. If we look at those numbers we had above before, we can write, if we were going to compare 4 and -2, remember we can look back on our number line and see which one is larger, 4 and -2. So we can write that 4 is greater than -2. We can also write it the other way around, and we can say that -2 is less than 4. Okay, so you can write it either way around. Let's do one more example. This time we're going to compare 1 and -3. Again, we can see from the number line here, we've got 1, we've got -3, and the number 1 is on the right hand side of the -3. So 1 is greater than -3. It was further to the right. But we can also write that as -3 is less than 1. Okay, so just a quick reminder there about inequalities. We're now going to look at addition, subtraction, multiplication and division of negative numbers. So firstly, addition. So we're going to do 4 examples here. We're going to start nice and easy. I've got 3 and I'm adding 5. Okay, nice and easy. The answer is 8. Now remember what I said before. We don't put that multiplication, that addition sign there, because we know if we just see the number on its own that it is positive. So if I use the number discs that we have in school, I've got 3 and I've got 5, and I add them together to get 8. Okay, let's start including some negative numbers. This time I've got 3 and I'm adding a -5. I'm going to just remind myself that that's positive. So I've still got my +3, 1, 2, 3, but this time I've got 5 negatives. Let's find a different colour for those, see if that helps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's have a look. I can cancel out because I know that 1 subtract 1 is 0. You may recall we call these 0 pairs. 1, cancel those out, and I can see that I'm left with negative 2. Let's look at question 3. This time I'm going to start with negative 3 and I'm going to add 5. I'm going to remind myself that that 5 is positive. So I've got negative 3 plus 5. So this time I'm going to start with my negative 3. I'm going to add on my 5 positive discs. I know that I can cancel out 1 positive and negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. I can see I'm left with 2 positives. Okay, finally for addition question 4, this time I've got a negative 3 and I'm adding to it a negative 5. Let's see what this looks like. I've got negative 3 and I'm adding to it negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I count them all up, I can see that I've got negative 8. Let's now look at subtraction. Okay, so we have 3, and this time we're subtracting 5. I'm going to remind myself again that this is a positive 3 and I'm subtracting a positive 5. Now I could use a number line with this. Here's a number line. As I said, it doesn't have to be massively accurate. It can be a quick sketch. I'm starting with the number 3 and I'm subtracting 5. So I've got to subtract 3 to get to 0, but I've still got to subtract another 2 because in total I'm subtracting 5. That's going to give me an answer of negative 2. So I've got 3, I'm subtracting 5, my answer is negative 2. If I'm using the number discs for this, we need to introduce a new concept. I'm starting with 3. 1, 2, 3, but I'm going to take away 5. Subtract 5. I can't subtract 5 at the moment because I've only got 3 of them, so I need to create some more. And this is what we call the 0 pairs. So I've added 0 there because 1 subtract 1 is 0. And I do the same again because I need to take away 5. So I need 5 so I can take them away. I started with 3. I'm going to subtract 5. So let's cross those out now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've subtracted them. I've taken them away. I'm left with negative 2. My answer is negative 2. Okay, let's look at question 6. So again, I'm starting with 3, but this time I'm going to subtract negative 5. I'm going to put a little plus there to remind myself. And again, I know that I'm starting with 3 discs. This time I want to subtract 5 negatives. I don't have 5 negatives, so I'm going to have to create them using those 0 pairs just like I did before. So I need to create 1 0 pair. Okay, so I'm creating 5 0 pairs. So that equals 0. I start with 3, okay? That is still 0. All of that is 0. I now want to subtract negative 5. So I need to take away negative 5. So let's get rid of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What am I left with? I am left with 8. I'm left with a positive 8. And we're just going to write a key learning point there. that subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. Okay, so a key learning point there. I'm going to put it in my learning bubble. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. Okay, 2 more examples with subtraction. This time I'm going to start with a -3 and I'm going to subtract 5. Again, I'm just going to remind myself it's positive. Let's see what happens here. So I start with -3 and I want to take away a +5. I don't have a +5, so I need to create it. So I'm going to create it by using my 0 pairs. So let's have a look and let's just double check that everything I've written down here, this is still -3 because I've got -3 and this is all 0. So I've got my -3. I'm now going to take away or subtract +5. Here's my +5. I'm going to take them away and I am left with -8. Last one, I start with my -3 and this time I'm going to subtract a -5. So again, I start with -3. I want to subtract -5, but I've only got -3, so I need to create 2 more negatives. So I've got 5 in total to take away. Again, this equals 0. 1 negative and 1 positive cancel out to give us 0. So -3, that's what I started with. I'm going to subtract -5, so I need to take away -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am left with 2 positives. So I'm left with 2. So I have subtracted a negative. Let's see. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. So I could have written that as -3 plus 5. Yeah, and I can now see that -3 plus 5 gives me 2. I could check that if I wanted to using a number line. I start with -3. I add on 5, so add on 3, add on another 2. I'm going to get an answer of +2. Okay, let's look at multiplication. Four questions. First question, 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. We know that's 3 lots of 4. Okay, I could write it. There's 1 lot of 4, my second lot of 4, and my third lot of 4. Okay, question 2. This time I've got 3 lots of -4. 3 lots of -4. Let's write that down. I've got 3 lots of -4. So this time, instead of having 12 here, I'm now going to have 12 negatives. 3 lots of -4 gives me -12. Now, there is a quicker way of drawing these. I don't have to write them out every time. Imagine if the number was 320 instead of 3, it would be a bit of a problem. So let's see how else we can do it with our next example, which is -3 multiplied by 4. Now you will hopefully remember that multiplication is commutative, so I can reorder this and I can change it to 4 lots of -3. Commutative means that 3 times 4 equals 12 and 4 times 3 equals 12. I can change the order of those two numbers. So 4 lots of -3. 4 lots of -3. And this time, instead of writing them all out, I'm just going to write -3. That's 1 lot. -3, 2 lots. -3, 3 lots. -3, 4 lots. So again, I can see that my answer, 4 lots of -3, gives me -12. For the last one, this time, you see that on the bottom, I've got -3. I'm multiplying it by -4. Okay, so if we were in the classroom and we had our number discs, we would flip them over because we're getting the negative of the answer that we get when we're multiplying 3 lots of -4. But I don't have those number discs with me. So we learn in school that multiplying a negative by a negative gives us a positive. We get an answer of positive 12. We're going to write that in a learning bubble in a moment. But let's look at why that is. Let's just come up here for a second. It's in the space. So remember how we said if we had 3 lots of -4, we could just write -4, -4, -4. We have -3 lots of -4. So we need to flip these over. So if they're -4 on this side, I need to flip them over, and that's going to give me +4, +4, and +4, which gives me my +12. So let's just write a learning bubble there. A negative multiplied by a negative gives a positive. A negative multiplied by a negative gives a positive. Okay, we're now going to look at division, and you'll see that it's exactly the same for division, because remember that multiplication and division are reciprocals or inverse operations. Okay, so let's finish off with division. Okay, and let's just check what we mean by that. We started by saying that 3 times 4 equals 12. So we know that 12 divided by 3 is 4, and we know that 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So we can use the same rules. So we're going to use the same rules as multiplication. All right, so finishing off super quick, we've got 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Okay, imagine I had 12 balls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm dividing them. I've done that wrong. Sorry, that didn't drill that very well. Okay, I'm dividing them by, let's start again. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Can you see that okay? All right, I've got 12 balls. I'm dividing them into 4 equal parts. Okay, so I'm going to have 3 balls in each of 4 piles. If I've got 12, -12, and I'm dividing by 4, it's going to be exactly the same thing, okay? This time I've got 12 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm dividing them into 4 equal parts. I'm going to have -3 in each one. Question 3. Apologies for the dog there. Okay, I've got 12. I'm dividing by negative 4, I'm going to get negative 3. And finally, importantly, just the same with multiplication, if I've got a negative 12 and I'm dividing by a negative 4, I am going to get a positive 3 as my answer. Thanks very much.